UEFA to ban Manchester City for the next 2 Champions League seasons because of breaches of UEFA's club licensing and financial fair play regulations. Now, there's going to be a lot of water to pass under the bridge in legal terms. City are going to fight this, as we know, tooth and nail. What's your general sense of this decision, though, Graeme? Is this UEFA biting off more than they can chew and taking on City, or will this scupper the City project as we have come to know it?
I think, yes, they are biting. I mean, they're really pulling the lion's tail here. I think City will fight to the bitter end with the most expensive lawyers they can find. I think it's cruel on City. I don't believe they're the only club that's guilty of this charge. And I think this has come about because the financial fair play was set up by the big clubs to protect the big clubs. There's a cabal of, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8 throughout Europe that got behind this and said, you know, we're the big guys, we generate the most income. Let's bring a rule out where we can only spend so much of our income, and that prevents anyone like Man City or the people that are involved in PSG coming along, outspending us, buying the best players, and we're suddenly not the big guys in town anymore. And I think that's exactly what's happened. And there's a lot of jealousy attached to this. And I come back to, you know, the Premier League, the English Premier League right now is the most watched, most interesting, the best in the world. And City have played a big part in that. And I'm loath to criticise them. Yeah, I'm sure.
But they broke the rules, Graeme.
Yeah, but I think the rules were there. They were set up by teams. It was a protectionist. It was them protecting their own. 5 or 6 clubs in the UK and England would have decided this. They would have supported this to protect their own interests. It was to prevent anyone breaking into their cabal of we control everything. We generate the most money, so we can spend the most money. We don't want any outsiders breaking into it, and they have done, and they've done it with some style. And maybe the single biggest reason I'm loath to criticise them, if you were to go to East Manchester. East Manchester was an extremely run-down part of Manchester. The money they've spent, I don't know the numbers, but whatever they've spent on buying expensive players and salaries, upgrading the stadium, I would imagine they've spent an equal amount in infrastructure in that part of East Manchester, bringing jobs, not just for the short-term, long-term. Long-term investment is what that area needed. They've supplied that. I'm loath to be critical.
But what has that got to do with the matter at hand, which is rules that they signed up to? Yeah. Now, you may disagree with the reasoning behind them, the motivation behind them, as Graeme says, but if they have been found to have broken them, is that not a separate thing from all the lovely things they do in Manchester and all the beautiful football that Pep Guardiola has played?
Now, there's still some mileage to go on this yet, and as Graeme says, they'll probably have the most powerful lawyers in the world to attempt to bring a different solution. That said, with regard to Manchester City and this problem, it hasn't just arrived this season. It's been around a long time. I can remember attending a Premier League meeting in my Sunderland days where Gary Cook had spoken to the board, to the stakeholders, to say, hey, this is hitting us like a Scud missile. I'll never forget he used that word. He said, we're trying to do good things for football, do good things for Manchester, and we're being stopped.
Now, they're not out for just for goodness, Niall. They are representing the Abu Dhabi nation, you like, in football. I know it's not just a sort of charitable enterprise, just to put that across.
Absolutely, and rules came out halfway through their project, and it looks now as if UEFA are saying you broke them very heavily and we're fining you very heavily. They're going to challenge that. And I'll just give you a little odd sort of comparison. When phones were hacked in England, the biggest newspaper in England had to close down because they illegally got information on people. This looks like a legal way of getting information has happened from newspapers hacking emails. And yet we kind of go straight at the club and say it's all the club's fault. I think there's a lot of process to be played out here legally. I'm not defending Manchester City from breaking the rules, just pointing out that all the good they do suddenly becomes tarnished now. And I think even if they get out of this legally, and even if they find that in the outside world, outside of the world of football, it was fairer to them and they get a better hearing and a better result, I think they're damaged.
The whole project has been damaged in your view, in terms of legacy.
And it's one of those things. It's a pity because they have done great things.
Give us your take on it, Brian. And you know, the lads have made points about what the club have done off the field, what they've done on the field, and you know, Graeme makes the point about the motivations behind financial fair play. What do you sense is going on here in the bigger battle that's going to play out over the next few years?
Well, I think UEFA are trying to keep control of a major competition where they have been frightened by the big clubs who would like to have a European league, a regular European top league with a few teams from each of the top countries on a regular basis. They are trying to hang on to control, but I think that go back to the origins of this and what Graeme said about certain clubs wanting to keep other clubs out of it. I think that there was, I feel that was the wrong way to go, because what it's meant is that if you take, for example, a club like in an English sense of Leeds United or a Sheffield Wednesday, clubs who had massive support and superb football grounds, and Sheffield Wednesday never really made the big time in terms of Champions League stuff, but Leeds United, not that long ago, were semi-finalists. They cannot get back into that league again. If they had a very heavy investor who was prepared to put in 100 million or 200 million or 300 million to try and match the type of quality players that the regular members of the elite of the Champions League are, they would not be able to do that. Under financial fair play, they can't get into that unless they're generating the money themselves. So it is an elite block that are there and they're
but it's
protecting
rules that
themselves.
everybody signed up to.
The people that signed up to it were the ones that were in it. The ones that were in it.
City signed up to the rules as well.
City signed up, and it looks
if you
like...
join a golf club or a football club...
Yeah, but they weren't the driver of it. The people who drove it were the ones who were looking to look after their own, you know... I think we all know the teams we're talking about.
I can say to you now, City did not vote for this. Man City did not vote for this.
But
they were totally
the
against it. They had to play in the competition.
They have to sign it to take part.
The Kabul came.
Just to note that what they're being charged with is essentially falsifying their statements, financial statements, also not cooperating with the investigation.
Yeah, no, it's pretty serious stuff. You're right there. But just going back to a point Brian made there, you could have Leeds United who are capable of getting 50,000 fans at a match if they were in full throttle, OK? Unfortunately, the size of your club doesn't depend on the amount of tickets you're selling anymore. Tickets mean so little, and atmosphere, and the people are so much further away from it now. It's digital TV rights. It's streaming around the world. And that's what the bigger clubs have said, well, we want all that. We don't want another club to come in and take us away from it. It is kind of unfair. There's no other business in the world where we say you're not allowed to invest in that.
Yeah.
This is the only one.
So this could, I mean, if City win this, it could smash financial fair play.
Oh, look at the organisation they're going after.
Yeah.
UEFA. Yeah, they're absolutely spotless, aren't they, UEFA?
But neither of them are going to give up easily on this one, because it's a big statement by UEFA to go after somebody like Manchester City and ban them for 2 years.
Last word on this, Graeme, because I want to get on to the Liverpool and Atletico teams. We do have football to talk about on the pitch tonight. Niall mentioned it there. Does this tarnish, when people look back on the history of this decade, we'll say in England, four-time Premier League winners, will people always have a black mark about it if this ban goes through?
Trying to be neutral, no, I don't think so. And I don't think anyone will leave City anytime soon. And the people that own Man City have not gone there for 5 minutes. When you look at what they've done, not just for the football club, they're there for the long haul. And I think Pep will be there for the long haul. I think De Bruyne will be there, and other top players.
De Bruyne, 2 years out of the Champions League, he'll stay, do you think?
I think if I was there, I'd be annoyed at it all. You know, I think it's a chance to galvanise that group. Someone's given them a gift that they can, like Fergie used to, whether it was at Aberdeen or Man United, it's us against the rest. Everyone's against us. Let's close ranks, let's stick together, and we'll be stronger for it. And I would imagine that's the team talk that Pep will be giving.
Yeah, but rightly or wrongly, they're going to be tarnished out. As you look, Saracens got caught in a rugby world, and all their history means nothing now. There's a price to pay already, I think.
I think City will survive this and be stronger at the end of it. There you are.